Square's Rad Racer was successful enough to warrant a sequel, which was released for the NES in 1990, 3 years after its predecessor. Just like the original, you race through 8 tracks against the timer, not the other drivers. Although the way some of them try to cut you off, you'd think they were in the race. Who knows, maybe there's a bounty on your head or something. The gameplay is virtually the same as Rad Racer 1, although there are subtle differences. Aside from the more asshole-ish drivers, aka higher difficulty, when you crash, instead of flipping over 100 times and slowly drifting to the center of the street, you just spin out a bit and you can pick back up from the spot. It takes much less time to recover, so that's one area where the game is a bit easier. You don't get your choice between the Ferrari and the Formula 1 car like in the first game. Instead, you're stuck with a nameless red sports car that resembles the Ferrari from the first game, more or less. It's not a big deal. The two cars made no difference whatsoever in the gameplay in the original, but they at least gave you the option for a change of scenery. So they could have implemented that into the sequel, or better yet, give them different attributes. Another feature that was taken out was the 3D mode. It wasn't a great effect, but it was neat in its own way. One new feature they did add for Rad Racer 2 is the turbo charge, which gives you a boost while you're stationary. But it takes so long to charge that you hardly notice a difference. Like Rad Racer 1, there are 2 checkpoints per race, each of which replenish your time at certain intervals. And when you run out of time, you can still coast and maybe hit the checkpoint or finish line before running out of gas. When you lose the race, it's game over, and there's no formal option to continue. But there is a cheat to continue on the race you left off, as well as a stage select cheat, both of which can be accessed at the main menu. One thing I noticed is the speed gauge in the first game read at kilometers per hour, and in Rad Racer 2 it's miles per hour. In both games you max out at 255. But there's not that much of a difference in speed, even though you should be going much faster at 250 miles per hour than kilometers. And you can make the argument that you were going faster in the first game, so which one is accurate? This is likely due to the fact that the Japanese version wasn't altered to MPH for the North American version, while the sequel was, although I strongly doubt that the ratings were adjusted. So in all likelihood, you're probably driving at 250 kilometers an hour in both games. Whatever. The graphics are a little sleeker, and the music is produced much cleaner, although there are only 2 songs to choose from instead of 3 from the last game. I do like the tunes, but neither of them really fit with the racing atmosphere all that much. They're a little too laid back and peppy, as opposed to the fast-paced, intense music of the original. There is a silent sing-yourself option, which kinda makes the jukebox sound like a sarcastic asshole. Turning off the music is also the only way to hear some of the sound effects, like the turbo booster and the sound of your car's exhaust. With the music on, you can only hear the squealing tires and the crashes. It's a good game overall. It's pretty much right on par with the original, but it doesn't offer enough new material to justify purchasing it if you already have the first one. Otherwise, take your pick, although I personally prefer the original by a nose. And that wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.